So moving on, we're going to move to the panel discussion. Panel discussion with the amazing people that we have here, our guests. The title of the panel discussion for today is Language at the Margin, Writing, Translating Across Tongues. Language at the margin, writing, translating across tongues. So, DJ, please give us music while they sell the chairs.
Majid bin Saleh is a bilingual writer, is a spoken word artist, and he was the second edition Slam Sultan. He won a whooping 50,000 naira and did not give me shishi. I am still fighting with him for that. Our next speaker would be, is popularly known as A.B. Wattsmith, but his real name is Abdulbasid Abubakar. He's a writer and a storyteller with a background in development communication. His works have appeared on Brity Paper, Praxis magazines, Poets in Nigeria, and so on. You're going to be getting an amazing session with him today because he's filled with knowledge and wisdoms. Our last speaker would be a lady. She's like someone I admire so much because of her tenacity and energy. She's a poet, writer, cultural creator from Sokoto State. Her work blends northern Nigeria traditions with modern storytelling, using Engausa as a bridge between local heritage and global literature. She's the author of Whispers of Love and the creator of the acclaimed audio drama Nothing Women in Politics. The name is Khadija Ibrahim Haruna. Can we give her a round of applause, please? Oh, and the moderator of this very, very amazing session is Zainab Abdulrazak, the first female curator for Sokoto Book and Arts Festival, a recent graduate of the Department of Linguistics. I don't understand Hausa. Hi, okay. Before we start this session, I would like to give you guys a backstory. I'm a Yoruba. I speak English. I schooled in the north. So basically, when I walk around on the street, people assume that I can speak Hausa. I cannot speak, come, let me kill you. Definitely cannot. And then I see people, when I write like short stories, cheesy short stories. When I write, I see people, they really, oh, when you're Yoruba, why can't we read Yoruba from your stories? And I'll be like, oh, do people want to read Yoruba? I mean, what if someone from Sokoto State who doesn't understand anything about Yoruba, what if the person is reading it? Will the person be able to understand it? And then someone said, that is where glossary comes in. You write, part of your writing, you kind of like interpret. So I'm using examples from authors like Abubakar Adam Ibrahim. I don't know, if you read someone like that, for example, his latest work, When We're Fireflies, right? You see that he wrote in Hausa and English, but he didn't write grocery. The only time you could like pinpoint what he was saying is to read the next line, where it would say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to murder the Hausa. Like for example, Yakuri, and then you say, I am sorry now. From there, you could tell that the Yakuri means I am sorry. You right? Oh, perfect. So sit down, listen up, and have fun, basically. Okay, who should I ask first? Mini, mani, mo. I'm going to go with Abby. Hello, Abby. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. Are you glad to be here?
Yeah, I'm glad.
Oh, perfect. So, you're like jack of all trades. We see you as a communication development and a writer, and the most important part, a bilingual writer. Amongst the services that you do, would you say that the process is hard? I mean, when you write in Hausa, you write in English. Was the process hard for you? How do you like identify what you want to write? I mean, you write in Hausa, you write in English. Were you always like in a conflicting motion where you would say, okay, let me write this in Hausa, let me write this in English so that the people will be able to understand me better? Did you get the question?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So first and foremost, I believe for me, I don't know for others, for me, the first introduction to writing, to reading, was mostly English literature, the Shakespeare and co. And after that, I started to realize that there are Hausa writers, there are people I could relate to more, so I started reading them. Even though some at one point they are not books that I might not have loved reading mostly, but yeah, they helped informing what I would call my prior knowledge of Hausa literature. But also, it boils down to the fact that it was easy because even within ourselves as peers, if I'm talking to Majid now, or you, okay, you, not you, but if I'm talking to Majid now, I'll hardly do 5 sentences without mixing Hausa and English. Because our immediate environment allows us to speak Hausa, and then the language that we have spoken over and over and over is English.
Yes.
So that Engausa, that code mixing is already automatically part of our daily conversation. So I always, whenever, especially when I teach poetry, I like to ask people, what language do they think in? So from the top of your head, what language do you think in? Sometimes you think in Hausa, sometimes you think in English. And the language I think in mostly determines the language that I write in.
Yeah.
So because once I'm able to think of it in this language, it's already a comfortable, soft language for me to write it in that language. So I have realized that initially I started writing in English. And yeah, it was good. Then I started writing in Hausa, it was good. Then I decided, oh, that's code mixing. And for me, I feel Engausa is beyond just code mixing. With code mixing, you're just putting the languages together, but in Engausa, there is depth that the usual code mixing does not have. And that's what makes it a higher level of thing. You don't lose the cultural relevance, you don't lose the metaphors, you don't lose the depth of the writing itself. So yeah, it was not hard for me. It was easy. Whenever I think of something in a language, I try to write it in the language that I think of it. And that is what determines what language that writing comes out in.
That's really beautiful. Your response made me realize something that Chino Achebe once said. God rest his soul. He said, is it Chino Achebe? I'm not really sure. He said something that whatever language you're thinking in should be the language you're writing. For example, he said that he mostly writes all his stories in his mother's tongue. Then after writing it in his mother's tongue, he will now convert it to English language. That is why you could tell that. For example, do you know Great K? Kayode Ayobami? I don't know. One of his poems says prayer baskets. And then the poem is about prayers. But when you're a Yoruba person, you could tell that this poem is Yoruba. The person just merged it into English. And I feel like that is the beauty of our mother's tongue. You could think to the very high level, but English has a way of restricting our thought process. You could, Ayobami said that, he said the prayer that a kufi, he said it in Yoruba, sorry, I suck at that too. He said it in Yoruba, and you could reason like, okay, this is really depth. This is like a prayer that our grandmother would tell us. You know, when you pray to God, it gets to a certain level where the English is no longer working. You have to switch to your mother's tongue, like, this is the best thing to do. So I see what you're trying to say, and I'm really in support of Engausa, even though I do not speak it. I like to read things that will make me curious. So yeah, thank you so much for the response. My next question will go to Kara Empire. I like to call you that. I don't like to call you your normal name. So you've always performed at our Sokoto Book and Art Festival with your sister, and it has always been a stampy finger moment. Oh, these two sisters are here again. I want to know who or what inspired your style, and when did you start treading the path of your style, the Engausa?
Good afternoon, good morning to you all.
Good afternoon.
You said what inspired the style? Super festive. I would say I have never performed on stage. It's my first stage performance was Superfest. So when actually I was talking to Majid the first time, I told him something. I want to do but I actually don't have the words. He pushed us into doing it. And when we came to write, I'm a kind of person that loves doing things differently, not to impress, but I just 2021, right?
Yes.
I have not seen it. So we decided to incorporate. And actually, when we tried it, we loved it. And
We
from
loved
that
it
very
too.
moment, we felt, why not write like this? It's something different. And I'm not just carrying those that can speak English. I'm carrying my people with me. And once you see me, once you hear me, you know, yes, I am from the north. And I've achieved what I wanted. So, thank you.
You know, I love what you said. I remember your first performance. I think, you know, your first performance, there were like parts where you said Hausa and another part where you spoke English. And when you started performing, I was like, what is this? You know, fresh Hausa person coming into the north. I was like, what are they saying? I don't even understand. And then when they started speaking English, I could tell that, okay. I mean, I did not understand the first language, but you could tell that they were trying to interpret what they said or buttress the point of what they were trying to make. And you just felt like, okay, this is a good style. Why are people not doing it? And then our slang sultan came and then took the whole style to another level, which is really impressive. I'm so glad Superfest had a story in your journey. Thank you very much. I do not want to ask you questions, but I will do it because of Superfest. So, hi Majid.
Hi.
You owe me money, but let's yeah. So, from performing poetry in Engausa, which makes you quite unique, by the way, have you ever doubled the process or perhaps plan to fall out of track? Like, has there been a day where you'd say, okay, I don't want to write in Engausa?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I don't think there is any, actually. You want to share your mic? I don't think there has been a time where I felt like, okay, let me drop this style and pick something else because, okay, let's say, you know, it's statistically mentioned that a native speaker of a language has about 4,000 words of that language. And for you to express yourself in writing, in poetry, you have to have enough words for you to express your own emotions. Now, we as Northerners, or let's say Nigerians, English is a borrowed language to us. So it limits I feel it limits our ability to express ourselves. Now, Hausa makes it easier for me because I have more words, I have more knowledge of the language and ways for me to express myself. So I've never felt the need to fall out of track, actually. Yes.
Beautiful. So, you said you do not have any thought process of falling back or maybe moving to another niche. Do you think it robs you of a creative process? You know, okay, for example, this is the question. You get to maybe you go to Lagos where few people understand your creative process. Do you think that when you perform, fewer people get you, or do you think it robs you of your creative process? Do you get me? Okay, please.
But I think that's the beauty of performance poetry, because it gives you the leverage to express yourself. I feel, okay, the way I write, actually, I try to make it in a unique way that, okay, even if you don't understand some part of it, you don't understand one language, but you understand the other, I try to make it in a way that when you are seeing me perform, you will have an idea of what the other language is saying. And I think that's what I mostly tell people doing Engausa, that if you are going to do it, make sure that you know how to transition in between the languages, and make sure that you know that, okay, at least to an extent, the person listening to me, even if he does not understand one of the languages, he will be able to grab a concept. And that's performance poetry, because you are showing people what you are doing. You are not just telling them, because if you are telling, the language is limited. But if you are showing, then it's visual, and people will be able to see what you are doing.
For every creative, we were told to show, not tell, right? Perfect. My next question will go to AB. You're a translator, because I feel like if you're writing into languages, that means there are a certain level where you would have to translate a language to another. Do you feel the need to sieve out your words, or do you feel the need to retain them? Should I take the question back? Okay, in a way, let's use the typical example. I am a boy. In English, there is this version of things going on social media where they will say, normal human would say I'm a boy, while poet would say I am the kiniko of the gender of whatever. You guys know that, right? And I feel like when you see that kind of stuff, it also boils down to our mother's tongue. The fact that a 3 words could morph into like 7 sentences or 8 sentences. It boils down to when you think in your mother's tongue, whatever sphere, right? Now I want to say this: once you're translating, the moment you're translating, maybe in your writing process, and you're trying to translate something from English to your language or something from your language to English, do you feel the need to limit your words to sieve out the content?
If I would have to answer this, I would just say I don't translate. Because, like I mentioned earlier, the way it comes is the way I write. So if it comes in English, why not write it in English? If it comes in Hausa, why not write it in Hausa? But if there is need for me to translate, then I believe the nuances in English are different from the nuances in Hausa. So like you said, I said, I am a boy. In English, it's just a boy. But in Hausa, it could mean I am a boy. It could mean I'm just learning something. It could mean I'm working under somebody. It's like a multi-functional thing. So if I'm putting it to Hausa, I might not necessarily it could be something else that would depict that nuance that I'm trying to put
So
out
give
there.
it like a deeper meaning.
Yeah, if it's a deeper meaning, it has to go deeper in the language that I'm putting it in. So the nuances, that's what I mentioned, is more than just code switching. Is the depth that makes it really go down all to the process.
Let me tell you all now, my next story that you'll be reading, there will be Conqueror. I'm going to make my grandfather. All right, Kara, the next question goes to you. What are the challenges you tackle while trying to maintain your tongue, just as much as trying to let your voice echo across margin? Like your challenges you face with switching or mixing?
I would say, how would I put it? One of the challenges is sometimes you have to consider your audiences. Some of them don't actually see the beauty in the culture.
Yeah.
There are certain people that will tell you, why not translate? Why are you speaking Hausa? But do you know us? If you really know us, then you will not ask me that question.
Yeah.
Because art will come in different forms.
Yes,
And
definitely.
that is the beauty of it. So when I speak English, you should listen to my mother tongue, so it's artistic. So I will tell you that I have a boss at work. You saw a video, I think I shared it with you.
Yes, you did.
So he was asking me, why is it mixed in Hausa? And I was like, that is the beauty, you should listen to it. Even if you can't understand Hausa, I'm trying to carry you along. So one of the things is some people don't actually appreciate that art. Another thing is that you have to, try to balance in a way. You have to carry everybody along. Okay, I'm trying to carry my people along with me, and I'm trying to get to their audiences. If I am too dependent on Hausa, then it will be local. It will stay there.
Yeah.
It will not go global. If I am too dependent on English, that means it will go out there, but my people will not relate with it. So balancing is one of the challenges, and then when people don't appreciate the art, it's another challenge, because sometimes you feel like, why don't you just stop it? But I can't, because I love it.
You know, one of the things you said now just brought something. When I started this panel discussion, the intention is to, how do I put this, so we'll be able to go global and at the same time stay to our local, the intersections, just like the theme. And you said something, you said we need to carry everybody along. That is, the only way we can do Engausa is to set balance. Now my question is, for you, you said art comes in artistic, whatever, right? Do you write to please people? Do you write to please people?
No.
Perfect. Because this is why I ask. Our first edition, someone performed, and throughout the performance, like 4 minutes, it was just in Yoruba. And people were like, the people wouldn't understand him. They're like, when you're done, let us know. You get. And it just makes me, I appreciated the person, not because he was using the language I understood, but the fact that he stood to the ground, like he stood true to himself, like, okay, whatever it is, I'm performing in this language, and that's it. So sometimes I wonder, do we create this thing to reach out to certain people, or do we just create to pass message? I mean, I understand that communication needs to be understood, but what if I do not want them to understand? What if I just want to express myself? You know, the situation where you want to rant, you don't want the other person to talk, you just want to say things. Oh, that's the beauty of art anyway. Thank you so much for the response. To Majid. So how should or would a budding writer who are inspired to do the same, how should they write in their native language? Do you have an advice for them? How should they inculcate their mother's tongue and the English language? It doesn't have to be Engausa at this point.
Well, I think I will just go back to what you said. The question is, which language do you think in? Because that would make it easier for you to express yourself. And for you to express yourself, like I mentioned, you have to have the words. How do you get that? And I think that is where reading comes in. The more you read, the more you widen your vocabulary, the more you widen your knowledge of a certain language, the more you widen your knowledge in that field that you want to address something. You know, it starts, I think, for most of us artists or poets, it's like a cathartic expression. So probably along the way, because I can see 70% of what I write is for me to go back and find solace in what I wrote. But then, at some point, you feel the need to address some certain issues, some things that touch you as a human, you being a human with conscience, and addressing some other things that matters. So for you to be able to do that, you have to feel them. So you have to put yourself out there, know what is happening, read about the things that are happening, and just try to channel it down to who you are, deep within you, and what matters to you, and address it. And I think that would make it easier for everyone who is trying to find his or her way into art. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Because he has been referencing you, and I think you've answered the question, but it is not clear to me. Right? The question is, how do you avoid one language from choking the other language? From choking. Now, this is where the balance comes in, right? But sometimes you realize that even with all the balance and all the having your own unique style, we still realize that most of this writing probably features 70% of English and 30% of Hausa. How do you avoid one from choking the other?
All right. Essentially, also, I'll give a straight answer and I'll give the other.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the straight answer is you cannot create a balance. If you're a Hausa person, Hausa should be your strength organically. If you're an English person, English should be your strength organically, because like Majid mentioned, as a native speaker, you have certain advantages that are peculiar to you as a native speaker. That's why, for example, if you want to apply for school abroad now, you have a degree and you are taught in English, but you're still trying to go and get IELTS
Yes,
or TOEFL, because you don't believe you're a native speaker, so your English is not even good enough. So you can hardly create a balance when it comes to this thing, because there will always be that language that is your strength and that language will choke the other. But also one way you could do it is in the process of delivering your poem or your writing or your performance, to always bring in vocabulary in all of those languages that is relatable to people who are listening to you or are watching you perform. In that way, even if a person does not really get the language, by the time if I'm speaking in English and he does not really get the English version, by the time I'm switching into Hausa,
yeah.
he's able to tell what I was trying
to pack us
give
first.
to the other language.
Yeah.
So it's creating balance. As a writer, you have first, like you said, responsibility to write for yourself, and that is non-negotiable. But at one point, once you start to make your art public, you make it public in such a way that you are writing for yourself first, but also you are putting it out there to certain people who would relate to it. And because human experience, human expression, human, what we get to experience as humans is a global thing. I'll be black or Hausa or English or Yoruba or Tiv, but we all have experiences that we share.
Yes.
So if I'm feeling sad, it's not a Hausa thing or a Yoruba thing. If I'm feeling angry, you're not a Hausa thing or a Yoruba thing.
Yeah.
So if you're able to put these emotions into your poems or your performance or your writing, it's not the language itself that necessarily will pass the message, but it's the emotion, it's the feeling that you are putting into your work that will be able to be passed from you to another person. So for example, let me just give a simple example with the song, Despacito. Everywhere in the world, that poem went viral. Does anyone here even understand what he's saying? Yeah, maybe at one point I saw the lyrics, so I saw the translation.
Yeah.
It was crazy translation.
But I mean, when it came out at first,
so
everyone was
everybody
just
singing it. They don't understand.
Despacito.
Even this,
Yeah.
the World Cup song that just recently happened in Qatar, there was a song the theme song that was done purely in Arabic. Everybody was singing it. People don't even know what it means. That's the particular level of art, level that art can reach when you're able to carry
Express
what
yourself,
people
yeah.
can carry. Is expression. The expression would do it better than anything that the language would do.
Thank you very, very much. I have learned a lot. I should go back to my drafts. I write something. Kara, your sister, you usually perform together. And I think that's like one of the most beautiful things. The duet, yeah. The fact that the fact that we don't see that often. They came, they stole our hearts, and what would your lasting words be for us? For me, who wants to start writing in our mother's tongue?
I'll tell you that if you feel it, just do it. Like you said, it's your emotions that carry people. It's not the language actually. It's you that are carrying those people. If you can't carry your audience, no one can. So if you can please yourself, I believe you can please every other person because you are confident in yourself. So for you and anybody out there who wants to start writing and mixing languages, if you feel it, then do it.
Do you hear that? You feel it, you do it. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's all. All right, thank you. I really had so much fun. Sorry. Please don't ask me. Oh.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is going to be direct to any point.
Okay.
What advice can you tell somebody that no matter what, they just won't get a poem, they don't get poetry, like poetry doesn't speak to them?
Please.
Like even if the words are well string together and like, this is beautiful, but the meaning,
Just
you know,
go
the
like
way that the thing will speak to their soul. I just don't get it.
What gets to you?
I'm like Pluto.
What gets to you? What gets to you?
Novels.
Novel. So, a poem does not have to get to you. Just the same way, for example, Majid does spoken word. I don't think maybe you'll be able to write a good story. I don't know. So the way writers also have their preferred genres or form of writing is the same way readers have their preferred forms. Some people enjoy spoken word, but they cannot sit down and read one poem. And that is okay itself. I saw how you were singing passionately earlier. I could see that it's the music that moves you. I'm sure it moves you one way or the other. So poetry does not have to move you. As much as now poetry is the popular thing, everybody is doing it, everybody is doing that, but there is something that would get to you. For example, when I read When We Were Fireflies, it was a book that really got to me.
It got to
Like
me too.
it was a while since a book got to me. The first time I cried for something was because of a book. I read The Kite Runner.
Oh, Khalid.
Yeah, Khalid
No,
was saying.
you'll cry.
So it depends, really. At one point, at every point in our lives, there is something that gets to us. And because most of what gets to us is influenced by what we are going through at that point in our lives, or what we are able to relate to at that point in our lives, it's really a what do I call it? It's unconventional. Everybody has what it relates and what works, what resonates with
So I'm
them.
not broken because I don't.
You're not broken.
No, I feel like one thing is people try to be a poet so they can look like a broken vessel of something. And you just have to be. Majid earlier was saying, I don't have anything to perform. Will you people take love? Yes, I'm a lover girl. Bring it on. Why do we have to listen to you and cry? Why can't I cry because of love? Why do I have to cry because of a country that is falling apart?
Exactly.
No, it's not just about the emotion. It's the fact that poets now see themselves to be this broken version of something. You can be a loving person and write beautifully. Have you seen me?
I just want to add something before we go on. So our theme for this year is for CAPFest in Kano International Poetry Festival is poetry in times of crisis. In a time of crisis. And one of the things I've seen peculiar is people just think, oh, poetry in time of crisis has to be sad or solemn. But there are people who found themselves in love because of the crisis. And that's where you could find much more emotions than just sadness in time of crisis. So I'm just buttressing what you just said.
Yeah, thank you very much. Our next question now, please.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay. My question was then to Brother AB, translator. So this is a question. Do you think it is fair when translators trying to substitute our indigenous language from what are indigenous to us with an English word? Take for instance, here is local food prepared in Hausa, the something like that. And when a translator trying to substitute that word indigenous to Hausa with an English word, do you think it's fair to the native speakers?
All right, that's such a beautiful question. So I'll start with this. First and foremost, it's crazy when people try to Englishize indigenous things. So, for example, I want to say miyan kuka now. I'll just say what they used to call it. There is a thing that these fancy people call it. Or if I want to say kunan aya, and then people will not say tiger. Yeah, like this. Have you ever had? What is the Hausa version of pizza?
Yeah.
What is the Hausa version of spaghetti or pasta? There is no Hausa version of it because they are indigenous to these places. So there are things that you should not even translate because it's very indigenous to those places, to those areas, to those languages. So once you start to translate it, it's just something else. It's not what you are translating.
It takes off the originality.
Yeah, it takes up the originality.
Thank you very much.
I think from what Nana Suli said, I think during her book conversation in Kaduna at Roving Heights, she said, you have to be unapologetic to an extent in writing about your own language, because I do not expect an Englishman that's interested in my work to not be interested in knowing the meaning of a certain word I used. You get? So the way that we are just used to their own words and we use them day in, day out, they should also come into our own and then dig into the meanings and know them and live with them also.
Okay, about the translation, what I wanted saying is English, to me, is a communication tool. It can never carry the weight. You get? It can never carry the weight. How can a language that is used to suppress my voice be used to preserve my own heritage? It's impossible. So believe me, you can use English, yes, to pass whatever you want to pass, but don't think that you have to go to an extent that everything has to be understood in English. No, there are certain emotions that English can never pass.
Okay, the next question will go to Kara. Oh,
Hello.
hi. Good morning. Please answer.
The mic to your mouth.
Okay, do you think there's limitation in Hausa when writing? Because I don't know how to put it exactly, but I will give an example. If I would probably writing about something like trauma or emotional abuse or let's say autism in Hausa, how am I supposed to put that? Because there's concepts like this that we don't have in our culture, in our language. Stuff like this, autism, emotional abuse, trauma, we don't have them in Hausa. So how do you
I would not say I can answer properly, but I will try. Like you said, trauma or autism, we don't believe in that. But we believe in something, right? We believe in aljanu. We believe in, which somebody might be traumatized and will say it's aljanu, right? Or Monsieur Bokani. So you can mix the two and then try. Everybody understands English. It's a global language. So you can bring the aljanu part and the boka part and then try to make them understand that it's not everything that is boka. And it's not, there's trauma, there's depression, there's autism. It's you telling them a knowledge they don't have.
As a poet, your most important tool should be your metaphors. How you are able to infer something of different meaning to relate it to something that is very relatable to the person who is going to read your poem or listen to it. So for example, if I'm talking about depression or trauma, I could use a Hausa term that somebody, I could say something like maybe trauma. I said, I cannot think of a word, but something that is very relatable in local terms to that person, that once I say it, he's able to understand. You don't have to say exactly this is the word, but inference that's able to be relatable to those people. And that's what metaphors do.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, in northern Nigeria, or I think in Hausa, we don't believe in many things like such. But there's a way you can say them that people would understand. Okay, like personally, I do write about grief a lot and about trauma because I've had experience about trauma and whatnot. You can make them in a way that even if it's not directly this I'm talking about, just like he mentioned, metaphorically, just use something that, okay, someone would be able to relate to. Okay, yes, this person is trying to say something about this thing that has been bothering me, that has been eating me deep inside. So I think, yeah, just that's it. You just have to find ways to find a way to connect the dots, actually.
And also, one thing, just because we think that it is not in Hausa does not mean you cannot write about it in Hausa. That way, you're sharing more knowledge to people who think the same, just as you do. All right, our last question, please.
Okay, my question is, how do you balance the nuances of writing in English and Hausa, especially when the cultural context? And how do you see the future of bilingual writing evolving? And what do you feel, what are the opportunities do you see for creatives wanting to tread that space?
Well, I would say, relating to what you said, the future of bilingual writing, I think that is the current trend, because I don't think there's anything that would beat bilingual poetry currently. Say, for example, we have Hibaf now. It's a platform that promotes Hausa cultural artistic expressions. We have the Ateleo Prize for Yoruba Literature. We have the Omofia Arts and Books that is Igbo-based. So I think the usage of bilingual poems has given birth to many platforms that are willing to support and take the future of bilingual writing to a higher standard. Because, say, for example, you can check the, I think, prize for Ateleo. They don't only look forward to promoting Yoruba literary culture, but also empowering artists that would write exclusively in Yoruba. And they publish the manuscripts also in Yoruba. So I think there's a bright future actually and actually it's beautiful because I feel that's what gives me my signature as a poet and as a person, because I can say vividly that here in Sokoto, we are the first persons that introduced Engausa style of writing here in Sokoto State. I cannot vouch for other states. So I think, and you can tell, I can even say that even probably we would expect Engausa poems, even from the poetry slam that's going to take place here today. So you see, there's definitely positive future and something very, very good to look up to.
You know, I remember, okay, do you want to say anything? I remember our Slam Sultan last year. When he performed, I think he used 4 different words. He used 4 different languages, rather. He used English, he used Arabic, he used Hausa, and I think he used Yoruba. And it was so beautiful because, I mean, this is like a new style. Everyone was just, snapping fingers and this and that. Even at some point, I was like, I'm lost in this Arabic, but I'm enjoying it. Keep on. Carry on. Do you get? I mean, at some point, he swayed away from the language and then comes to the reading. And you were just enjoying it. And it was just really beautiful. So please, if you have this niche that you're working towards on, stick to it. And who will listen to me? It's still in your head. The moment you put it out, people would truly listen to you. Is that clear? Please, thank you so much. Do we have...
Add to that? So first question, you say, how do you balance nuances in language? Like I said, every language has its peculiarity, right? So as a person who is northerner, who understands Hausa, you look at the language itself and you already do nuances, you know the nuances that you are supposed to use automatically. And for English also, you know the nuances that are peculiar to English, because I could say something, like I mentioned earlier, I could say something in Hausa, and once I translate it to English, it's a different thing. So you have to look at how it is presentable in that language. And when it comes to opportunities, now I would say I am very pleased by how much people are engaging in Engausa poetry. I am very displeased by how much people are abusing it. Because now people just feel like I can just write anything and say I'm doing Engausa. And I see a lot of it, and it's very disappointing. It's an important thing for you as a writer or as a poet or as anybody who intends to write, to first of all learn before you learn the rules before you break the rules. You should understand what is what and what is not before you are able to say, okay, let me engage in this. And like I said, as much as you want to engage in these languages or code switching, all of that, understand what it means to have depth in both languages. Once you are able to hack that, you'll be able to do your Engausa and do it perfectly. That's it. And I would say again that don't think that using Hausa or any language will limit you, because I went to Port Harcourt and performed in Engausa. I went to Lagos and performed in Engausa. I was part of the Building Bridges project and I performed in Engausa, and there was Aremo who went there and performed purely in Yoruba.
Yeah.
So it does not matter really. People who are interested in your work would be interested no matter what language you put it in. Yeah, so that's it. You want to add something? Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much for doing this with us. We hope to have more amazing sessions. Thank you.
Who